Peace, Black Supremacy's Nattyisisyah. So I was going to make this video yesterday, but I didn't have good service, so I'm not doing it live today. But I wanted to talk about why be in the conscious community, or why join the conscious community, or why remain in it once you find out you're in it. Because a lot of times people don't know that they're in the conscious community. You know, you just go on YouTube and all of a sudden you get sucked into this conscious community. By now, I'm sure by being on social medias like maybe Instagram and Facebook, you could also get sucked in to the conscious community as well. But once you're in, you're pretty much in. There's pretty much no coming out. I know people like to say that, you know, they're not part of the conscious community, and there was a whole episode of people making, you know, a lot of videos disassociating themselves. But I think that people overlook a lot of the value in the conscious community. And King Lobo's made at least 2 videos about, you know, why he has not turned his back on the conscious community, and I definitely suggest that you go and watch those videos. If I can, I will post a link in my description. I'll go look for those videos for you. But I definitely agree with his viewpoint, because what he says is that in the conscious community is that we are the people who are going to make the change in the world. And, you know, because we're open to change, you know, and it's hard to not be aware of all the things that, you know, we learn once you consider yourself in a conscious community, or, you know, are considered in it. It's hard to not make any change once you learn about all of these things. Now, I know for a lot of people, they don't see anything coming out of the conscious community. They don't necessarily see any of the benefits. However, you know, I think on a personal scale that there are definitely a lot of benefits. And for those people who don't see the benefits, you know, you have to ask yourself, what are you doing, you know, for, or, you know, in the conscious community to see those benefits. You know, it's kind of like you kind of see what you're putting in, you get what you give in a situation, and just because you don't see it doesn't mean there's no benefit for somebody else. But definitely, you know, once you consider, or you find yourself in the conscious community, you want to you want to start thinking about why you're in the conscious community. How did you get here? You know, what are you here to do? What are you going to do now that you're in this conscious community? And it's like, another thing to keep in mind is that just because you're in the conscious community does not mean that, you know, now all of a sudden everybody is going to be, you know, all cordial, friendly, or, you know, ideal, like the ideal person who you might want to meet. And I know for a lot of people who are going through, transitioning through different maybe religions or different social communities, you know, it's kind of like every time you come out of a different religion or whatever, you always have this kind of ideal where it's like, you know, okay, well, they did me wrong, or this wasn't what I was looking for. I'm going to go and join this now because I think all the people there are going to be this type of way, and they're all going to be friendly, kind, whatever. Don't necessarily be disappointed if you don't come across it in the conscious community. However, I can say is you kind of have to know where to look, because there are definitely a lot of different types of people in the conscious community, and usually the ones with the biggest platforms, the most controversy, and a lot of times the most matrix concepts are the ones who get the most popularity, publicity, and who you might consider to be the conscious community. But that's not necessarily the case. The conscious community is basically what you make of it, right? But out of that, you know, you also want to be aware of everything in the conscious community. So don't just go and just subscribe to just 2 or 3 people. Don't just listen to 1 or 2 people. And always stay open. Always stay open to different point of views and different concepts, and be able to kind of form a greater worldview out of this, right? Because you have to remember too, a lot of times when you're coming into the conscious community, you know, you might be younger. Your peers, they might be going to university, they might be going to college, they might be just straight up in the matrix. They might be traveling, doing things. You know, meanwhile, for some people, you're probably, all you really have might be your phone or your computer in order to communicate with other people. And it's like, you shouldn't necessarily take this for granted. Just because you might not be doing what everybody else is doing, whatever the hell that is just regular matrix stuff. Just because you only might have your phone or your laptop, you might not have anybody else to talk to, and all you might have is, you know, social media. Don't take it for granted. Basically, you know, use this as your opportunity to learn more about the world around you, because we have such a limited perspective of what's going on in the world. And even though this is the so-called age of information and people got all this access to technology, people are not using it. And it's so easy, even for me, you know, when I go onto my subscription feed, I can pretty much see the same thing every day. And even if I don't, you know, everything is pretty much related to maybe what somebody else said. And like, it's easy to just get caught up in a lot of the little dramas and stuff that's going on. And a lot of times this is because people's minds are not really that open. It's like you're conscious to being part of the conscious community. You got to be a little more conscious than that. You got to be a little more aware, a little more intellectual, and a little more thorough, you know. Check things out. See what other people are talking about that are not in the conscious community. Because the conscious community is not, you know, it's just a term overlaid on a group of people who, you know, it's kind of, what else are you going to do if you have access to the internet? You're going to be conscious of a lot of more things. That doesn't necessarily mean that what people are putting out on your stream or your newsfeed is all there is to be conscious of. So definitely continue to seek out more information and more knowledge, and like really expand your worldview. Find out what other cultures are doing and all these type of things. But ultimately, the main purpose I wanted to make this video was to say that out of the conscious community, we have, this is our education, this is our university, this is our platform, this is our way to basically communicate with each other, to socialize with each other, and you know, we could really create a different world out of this. Also, you know, by really kind of taking it seriously. I know a lot of people just like to, you know, this is just a game, just like to come on here and just be a troll. But for those who might take it a little more seriously, there's some things I do think that within the conscious community that you definitely should know. But I don't really like to mention it sometimes, because I don't like when people just take one concept and just go to the extreme view in that, and then that becomes their religion, and then, you know, everything else they don't really want to take part of or to consider. But, you know, it's certain other things that you, as far as spirituality goes, you should definitely seek out everything spiritual, everything about spirituality that you can find out about. You should look that up as well, you know, and that goes hand in hand with history. You know, watch the documentaries, listen to the audiobooks, you know, of course, download the books and read the books. But definitely check all of that stuff out. And I know I've said a lot, I usually speak fast, but all in all, ultimately, you definitely do want to be able to reach out, because the conscious community is like a hub of all the different smaller communities, right, that are basically sharing in the knowledge and in the knowing of, you know, all that there is to know. The conscious community is kind of like that melting pot. So if you want to go deeper, you know, definitely reach out to somebody who might have that extra bit of information. If you want more community, reach out to people who have set up a community. If you have something to share, if you have information to share, and you feel it could benefit other people, definitely post it up and reach out to others. And you know, the thing about the debates in the conscious community and so forth, it's hard in some senses not to give your input into what you see going on. When I make videos about what I see going on, it's really to bring clarity. Because a lot of times I see a lot of things that people are saying, and they're pushing it on other people as though that is the only way, the way. And, you know, if you have a different, if you don't agree, then you're not part of the quote-unquote conscious community. But there's really no set ground rules for the conscious community. There's really no way to enter it or to exit it, per se. At best, what we can do is to bring clarity and to bring more consciousness to the forefront. Right, bring more awareness, bring more information, and that way, you know, our people cannot be so closed-minded, because, you know, especially our people can be very, very closed-minded. They just a lot of times believe what they have learned since childhood, and it has been supported and propagated by, you know, society in general, and then you know, is spewed back out to people who came into the quote-unquote conscious community. You know, you don't necessarily want to hear the same things that you're going to hear on your way to work, that you're going to hear from your mother or your father, that you're going to hear, you know, in an institution of white supremacy. So I think people definitely need to ease up on a lot of what they've been taught and what they've been learned, and to definitely unlearn everything that you thought you knew. One thing I can say that I think everybody should definitely look into, and has always, you know, basically stood out for me, is to learn about the chakras. Check out you know, yoga, kundalini work, root work, basically, things like that, you know, because, and I don't just, you know, skim over it. You kind of go deep, because if you can basically, I guess, identify the chakras, then, you know, you can kind of see where people are at in their growth, and, you know, definitely don't use it to necessarily judge anybody or anything, but, you know, you want to use it also to basically, as a compass. You know, you could use other spiritual works or practices or other compasses or guidelines. You know, you could even make up your own. But basically, if you just want something to just basically get you off and started, instead of just being sucked up and, you know, drawn here and there, if you check that out, you know, you'll be all right. But definitely reach out. So that's one of the things I think that the conscious community, one of the best things I think the conscious community has to offer, is that we can reach out to each other as brothers and sisters and actually do things with, for, and, you know, amongst each other. And, you know, ultimately when I came into it, that's what I wanted. I wanted community, and I went to where I seen the community at, and you know, I'm here and I'm helping to create the community and to build basically the world that I want to see and that I want to manifest on this plane, and I see it happening every single day. So in some ways, until you can do that, and unless you can do that, you know, you might have to ask yourself, what are you doing, and why are you in the conscious community? Why are you here? Why are you even, you know, being a part of this or being influenced in any type of way, unless you wanted something greater yourself. So peace, it's Nattyisisyah. Join the website www.kingdom.uncensored.com. If you want to reach out to me, hit me up in the comment section in my email. I will check my email. I do check my other social medias. So definitely hit me up there. And, you know, I definitely open up myself for the sisters, any sisters who want to collaborate on anything. You know, I always have very interesting ideas and projects that I'm working on. I don't necessarily post everything on this channel, so if anybody's interested, if anybody has anything unique that they're interested or that they want to do and that they want to collaborate on, if you have any ideas that you want to run by, let me know. If you're doing a live chat, you know, and you need somebody to, I guess, be a, you know, part of it, let me know, and I'll definitely see if I can be a part of that. And, you know, I'm working on doing a little bit of lives myself, so I'll let you know also, or I will, you know, I guess you could look out for that in your subscription, and you could tune in too, because, you know, it's coming time that we basically reunite as sisters a little more, and brothers too. You know, I'm not one way or the other. You know, we are in this together, and basically that's what I'm here for. So Black Supremacy, again, join the website www.kingdom.uncensored.com. Subscribe to my channel and King Noble's. Links are in the description. Peace.